Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Monday, August 18th, 2025. On the geopolitical scene, there's a lot happening today because President Zelensky from the Ukraine and a number of other world leaders have come to the White House to meet with President Trump. Those festivities or activities are still going on as I make this video. One thing I noticed that I wanted to do a video about real quick was that Dan Scovino, who is part of President Trump's inner circle and often has some coded items for us to enjoy, put out a tweet today at 6:16 a.m. and a sharp-eyed anon by the name of True Stormy Joe just had to make a connection that I think might be pretty valid. Let's take a look at it. So first, and by the way, I will have a link to True Stormy Joe's tweet in my video description box. Okay, let's take a look at it here. I'm going to go to a share screen and show you a couple of items. All right. Okay, pardon me, here is Dan Scovino's tweet, which was again published at 6:16 a.m. today, so just hours ago, mentioning the itinerary for the visits today. And because of the fact that President Trump has numerous times played a video that is known in anon circles and alt media circles as the submission video, he took a look and decided to see what that 616 for the timestamp might equate out to on what is called the 17 boards. And certainly, here we go. 616 has this two-word sentence, submission complete. So there is some speculation that we would like to dig down deep on today if there is indeed some submission going on that is relevant and current and going to be seen in the public eye. Now, I did this thumbnail because here's a picture today of the world leaders that accompanied Trump or Zelensky to see Trump, and they're sitting outside. They weren't part of one of the meetings that were held. And don't they look like kids waiting to go see the principal that are in trouble? They really, really do. And here is just a screen grab I did of President Zelensky being greeted by President Trump. So that was from the official White House page today. And here is a portion of that 17 post I talked about, because not all platforms that I put my content on welcome that information. I only did a partial grab of that. So let's ask about that. If there's more going on behind the scenes than meets the eye. There's talk and chatter in alt media circles that, and we're told, we're watching a movie, that actually all of this has all been settled, and now we're seeing the public play out of the information, the resolution that is seen in the public eye. I think there's a lot of merit to that thought, but I also know that each and every country has an active deep state presence that can impact what goes on or that tries to rally after a defeat. So while back in 2017, there was that world tour that is known, like I said, in alt media circles as the submission tour, there have been and always have been, and maybe always will have, efforts to recoup some lost ground on the part of the deep state or power plays, etc. So was today's meeting with Zelensky part of firming up the submission? Because submission is complete according to Dan Scovino if we track and connect that 17 post, 616, with the time that that tweet went out, just showing the itinerary, nothing else said. He's a man of few words, but a lot of symbolism. Let's ask the universe and find out, because I wanted to see what's out there for us to glean and know and understand about what's going on. I'm going to switch the camera so you can watch me work with the cards, and we will explore this topic together, as always. To include a yes or no element in this question, I'd like to ask if the connections made by alt media people between the timing of Dan Scovino's tweet and a certain 17 post was indeed an accurate connection, plus additional insights and information about is this potential submission event going on. Okay, our first card is Judgment. I think we got an answer right there. Oh, and then the Nine of Wands bolsters that a lot. I'll explain as we go, or and come back to the Moon. Okay. The Three of Cups, Two of Cups, King of Cups, lots of cups going on here. And the Two of Swords. I will get additional cards before we're done to see if there's more information the universe wishes to share with us. Okay, so my question, while we don't have a hard yes here, we do have it embedded in the cards. As often happens, I said, was this a connection between that Dan Scovino tweet and the timing of it and a 17 post, an accurate one? And absolutely, what's going on here has a lot to do with being held accountable for past actions. Okay. And then the nine means, and we're almost finished. Okay. So judgment is almost finished in this case. And there's that lineup for the principal's office is very, very accurate. So while what the public will see is a gracious diplomatic event, behind closed doors, there's been some very frank discussions and possibly some notice of consequencing to happen. In the recent past, we have the Moon card. That's a nod to the fact that, yes, in fact, while it's playing out in the public eye now, some of this stuff was already a done deal. I have the intuitive impression that Zelensky didn't just bring flying monkeys. He was told who to bring with him. They seem to be his posse, his group of flying monkeys, helping him navigate um, his visit to the White House when the last one was so disastrous he was asked to leave. Uh, that's what the public perception is. In actuality, they were told, show up. We've got to do a little more talking. We're going to be making some changes, like it or not, and they're going to become public, like it or not. In the near future, we have the Two of Cups just saying agreements have been reached. And those agreements, we got the Trump's part and parcel of those. He is a statesman and a diplomat, whether the liberals in our country or the mainstream media wants to acknowledge it or not. The King of Cups, art of the deal. This man knows how to, this man being Trump, President Trump, he knows how to reach an objective and do it in sometimes what seems to be rather unconventional ways. More on that with the next video I'm putting out, that I've got some ideas on that. And then the Two of Swords says, well, at the moment, it looks like there's going to be an impasse. So what I'm thinking today is we're not going to get in today's visit, a definitive end to the conflict between the countries that are represented by Presidents Zelensky and Putin. That's it's headed this way. It is. It's going to take one more meeting with, I believe, Trump, Putin, and Zelensky to get her done. Let's get a few more cards and see what else is going on. Again, these cards will indicate near future possibilities or outcomes or information, and they're less impactful than the information here, that the art of the deal is in play in a political way. And it looks like I said, we're going to get some announcements today of progress, but not a definitive finale. There's a confirmation of my intuition. We have the Six of Wands, which is a card of victory. The Hanged Man, which is looking at things in a new way. And sometimes when the universe is being ironic, this can also mean an end result of judgment. So just so you know, consequencing. Okay, and then I'm going to, last two cards here, we have the Seven of Wands and the Page of Pentacles. The Seven of Wands is just letting us know that Trump is doing what he does from a position of strength and from the high ground. Okay, it hasn't been easy. He's had opposition. He will continue to have opposition. Okay, that's just part of what he has taken upon himself for us and for what he's doing. But he's definitely got the high ground. Page of Pentacles just says good results. And again, the page is kind of younger, youthful energy. So we're moving on in ways that kind of a fresh start. Fresh start. Love that result there. All right, let's recap. As I'm making this video for you today on August 18th, the visit of President Zelensky to the White House is still ongoing and seems to be going well. It's quite the statesman's type visit. Zelensky brought a group of other leaders with him, and while on the surface it seems to be that those people came at his behest to kind of back him up and be his flying monkeys, if you're familiar with the term, if you deal with narcissists. Or if you just think of it in the term of he brought a posse with him to try to have some influence and more ability to be in control of events today than he was in his previous visit when he was asked to leave. By the way, he was told not to show up unless he wore a suit, and I noticed he wore a suit. It was all black in mourning, it seemed like. And that made me, when I saw a post by True Stormy Joe showing Dan Scovino's post earlier today that simply showed the itinerary for the events of today at the White House, but it was posted exactly at 6:16, and he had gone to look at 6:16 in the 17 posts. That's simply a two-word entry that says submission complete. So Zelensky's in black. There's an itinerary that goes out 6:16, which kind of seems to jive with the 17 post that says submission complete. So we asked about it. We said, hey, is that connection an accurate one that's been made between the timing of Dan Scovino's post and a 17 post, plus insights and information about this whole event? Is there a submission element to it? Well, the first card that came down was a judgment card, which in political reads is always about looking at past actions and being kind of held accountable for them, asked to review some past actions and being accountable for it. And many times in private reads, it also says the same thing. So there was someone had some explaining to do. Now, that was confirmed with the clarifier card because the Nine of Wands came up, which says nines are kind of close to the ending, okay? But yeah, it's been a long and hard road, and there was some consequencing to be had. Now, a nod to the fact that we often are told that we're watching a movie, that events we see play out on the public stage have actually been resolved in the background to a great extent, and then they find a way to have that storyline completed in the public eye. The recent past, we had the moon. I think it stood for that kind of a nod to that. Yeah, we're seeing today things that already have played out, that were already determined and decided. Now, this card has other elements that it can be describing, but I think what told me intuitively, that's the main one today. It's also kind of an odd sometimes when there's going to be, or has been, someone leaving the earthly plane, and definitely when there's falsehoods at play. So there's been a lot of with the judgment card showing up, it just definitely says there's been some actions that someone had to account for, and that was part of what was happening today behind closed doors. The current card we can celebrate with some, that there's going to be some progress indicated and shown today, but not the finale, not the grand finale, which is the ending, official ending and peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia. Looked at the near future. Agreements will be reached. They might not be reached today. I think we're going to need to have another big summit type of meeting that includes Trump, Putin, and Zelensky to have that done. Trump, art of the deal. When we looked at the near future, victory card showing up here. So in other words, just a confirmation that, yeah, we're headed towards that peace, even though there's an element that doesn't want it. Okay, those that profit from munition sales and war and strife and division don't want it, but we're getting there. And then the Hanged Man just talks about looking at things in a new way, fresh start type of indication. The And we had some cards that showed that there was a worthwhile effort, diligence was involved, etc. You can look back at all the cards if you want to in the middle of the video. So that's it for today. It does look like intuitively one of the things I got strongly was that while it appears that President Zelensky chose to invite world leaders to come with him and be of support to him, I believe he was told who to invite and bring, and there is some truth to the fact that that 17 posts that said submission complete was indeed accurate. So today was a submission event for a number, if not all of those attending. And there we have it. Not to take away from the 2017 tour that Trump did, but we do know that people still continue to do shenanigans or try to regain lost ground. And I think today was just a day where some hands quietly have been slapped and people have been told what's up. So that's it for this video. I thank you for joining me on that deep dive into submission complete possibilities and appreciate each and every one of you. If you're willing to receive it, I send you love, light, and wish you everything bright. And if you'd like to subscribe, I'd love to have you. Bye.